situations as they develop. All right. Let's move on. Could the issue of abortion flip a state from red to blue? The Florida Supreme Court has upheld the state's ban on abortion at 15 weeks of pregnancy, but also ruled that a ballot initiative seeking to protect the procedure can go before voters in November. It's a hot button issue, especially leading up to the race for the White House. Let's bring in our panel to discuss. Editor-in-Chief of the Post-Millennial, Libby Emmons. Thank you so much for joining us. Also with us, elections correspondent at The Federalist, Brianna Lyman. Thank you, guys. Okay, so let's start off with you, Brianna. What do you think about the left's take on abortion in Florida? Could it possibly turn blue? We're talking about a 6-week ban. A lot of women don't even realize they're pregnant at 6 weeks. What do you make of this very hot button issue and whether or not it could sway the election?
Yeah, I don't think
Brianna?
abortion necessarily is going to be I don't think abortion is going to be a winning issue for Democrats right now, and especially because it's a ballot referendum, it actually bodes well for Republicans, because Politico actually did a great analysis on this. But if you look at states that have had a ballot referendum on abortion, yes, abortion has decisively been kept in those states, but the margin wasn't turnout from Democrats. It was turnout from Republicans who voted to keep abortion in place, but then went on to vote for a Republican candidate. And the reason that's particularly important in Florida is because it allows these voters to say, okay, I'm going to prioritize a politician's stance on immigration, economy, crime, because I know I can vote for abortion separately. And so while Democrats have been trying to tie abortion to a candidate in hopes that they can then beat a Republican even by narrow margins, this actually prevents them from forcing a candidate to choose based solely on abortion.
Libby, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting issue. I think Brianna makes some really good points, but I also think that the Democrats are coming out really strong this year in trying to frame the election as a women's rights election. They're using this, they're using abortion, they're using birth control, as we have seen Gavin Newsom attacking, claims that birth control can be harmful. So I do think that Republicans should watch out for these issues, but I also think that Republicans overall are not looking for a federal law on abortion. So to the extent that this affects a presidential election, I don't know that a federal law on abortion is really going to be something that anybody would be able to get through. So in terms of states, a lot of this is about states' rights, which is, I think, exactly where abortion belongs.
Brianna, here in New York City, we're seeing women getting punched in the face, literally getting punched in the face. And yet it's that very same demographic that could possibly sway this election because they could vote for Joe Biden. And then, of course, they talk about abortion rights. They want to legislate my uterus, this and that, or whatever. What do you think about the woman vote and how much of a role it'll play in this upcoming election?
Yeah, I think women have been essentially kind of forced or convinced that they should vote Democrat because Democrats have weaponized, like Libby mentioned, issues of abortion and birth control. And because Republicans have really struggled to get a coherent and cohesive message on abortion, you have some Republicans saying, well, it should be 12 weeks. I'm saying 6 weeks. Until Republicans can figure out a message on abortion, Democrats weaponize those differences to say, well, look, these states, abortion is at risk, your birth control is at risk. And if Republicans were able to get out a message that makes sense, I think they could appeal to a lot of female voters who, again, could then say, you know what, abortion is settled in states like New York, right? I can now vote on the issues of economy, crime, immigration. And so it really just, rests on whether Republicans can get together and be on the same page the way Democrats have been able to do.
And Libby, speaking of Democrats, you have left-wing comedian Michael Rappaport. He says he'd consider voting for Trump unless Biden can finally get a handle on the rise of anti-Semitism in this country. It was just the other night right here on the streets of New Jersey, of New York City. I mean, it's incredible so much venom is being spewed against Jews out in the open. Do you think more left-wing Americans will turn on Joe Biden because of Biden's handling of the war in Gaza?
Yeah, I think that the Democrats and Joe Biden really have a problem here with the situation in Israel and Gaza. You have the president has come out and said that he would support Israel. At the same time, the administration is funding Gaza. That we know that funding goes right into the hands of Hamas. We have the far left of the Democrat Party very pro-Gaza and anti-Israel's war against Hamas. So we've seen that. And this is going to be a problem for Democrats, not just with men of Michael Rappaport's age who skew towards supporting Israel, but among a younger demographic that has been voting uncommitted in primaries, as we saw, I think, in Michigan and Minnesota and some other places, Washington State. So the younger generation of Democrats is very opposed to Israel's war against Hamas, whereas you have the older set in favor of it. So that's going to be a real problem. Biden, I don't think, has a real good grasp